want to bring in a Republican strategist and co-chair of the Great America PAC, supporting Donald Trump. Ed Rollins is with us this morning. Ed, good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
So what's going on in terms of these large donors giving to Hillary instead of the Republican nominee?
Large donors are used to being stroked. If someone gives you $2,700, they expect good government. Someone gives you $100,000 or more, they expect attention. And Trump traditionally has not paid much attention to them. Where Hillary Clinton's team has always been very, very effective at reaching out. A lot of these big donors were with other candidates in the primary. They didn't feel after the primary when people like Bush and others were mistreated, they weren't anxious to write their checks.
How damaging is that for Trump?
Well, it's very damaging in this sense. One is, even though he's done very well on small donors, he is way underfunded for a presidential campaign. When you're as far behind as he is, and the one significant thing we need to talk about, he has now a 24-point gap among women. Traditionally, Republicans don't do as well among women voters as they do men. But when you have 53% of the electorate are women and you're 24% behind and you've lost 10 points in the last couple weeks, you got real problems. So the way you sort of make that up is not rallies where you basically rail on her. It's through television, it's through communicating, it's through a surrogate program. You don't see any women traveling or being around Donald Trump. There are no women on the economic group that was named. So they have to get in their head, women are a significant problem here, and we've got to basically close that gap or we don't stand a chance.
Can he do it with what, 90 days until the election? What do you guys think?
Well, one of the things that Kellyanne Conway often brings up whenever we talk about the gender gap is she points to Clinton's gender gap among men, and she says that she's more significant, but you don't agree with that?
No, it's not nowhere near as significant. It's crazy. You can have all the white males in the world turn out, and you just can't offset that 53% number. And I love Kellyanne. She's a dear friend of mine. There's a lot of dreaming going on here that there's this hidden group out there of Trump supporters are going to come out of the woodwork or out of the wilderness or out of the brush. But the bottom line is it's all about numbers. And there's so many polls out there today, and the polls are indicating there's a serious, serious gender gap problem, and you need to basically close that.
Well, the Clinton campaign is pushing that gender gap problem, especially because they're always saying their campaign slogan is "I'm with her." Yeah. Parading around all these women. You even had Madeleine Albright, who came out and said, there's a special place in hell. She retracted that, but they're making it about gender, so that's why I think there's a big gap in this. But isn't it important to note, too, that sometimes these donors give to both campaigns anyways, so we shouldn't necessarily be alarmed that we're seeing some of the donors detract and just give to Clinton.
Well, they're not giving here. That's the only problem.
Right.
And he needs the money for the ground game.
He needs the ground
money for the advertising.
And
also, a lot of negative ads.
Let's not kid ourselves. I've been doing this for a long, long time. In the month of August, you're not going to get attention by basically remove numbers by doing a bunch of rallies like he did yesterday. He had a great speech on Monday, the economic speech. He should be talking about the economic speech all week long. She has a speech tomorrow, same venue, Detroit. He should have dominated. He should have been on the boards. So what are we talking about the last 2 days? We're talking about was he calling on the gun groups to go out and assassinate her, which is absurd, and I don't think he did that. But at the end of the day, if you've got to stay on message, and the message this week has to be the budget, has to be the economic plan, and the economic plan can basically help families and what have you. That's what they'd be preaching.
So should supporters of his be worried that he can't stick to that, things like that? He can't stick to the issues?
Well, as a supporter, I worry about it. I mean, if the election were held tomorrow, it'd be a slaughter. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. So there's there is time, not plenty of time. There is time, but there's a lot that has to happen between now and November.
And you mentioned the numbers with women, and we also know that he's trailing significantly with the Hispanic community, and that has been something that the GOP has tried to say, hey, there's a lot of similar values here. Maybe for the future, this is a demographic that we can reach. What do you see for the future of the party if Donald Trump doesn't get those numbers, which I think we hope as conservatives that he will? What does the future of the GOP look like?
Well, the future of the GOP, if it's going to be an all-white party, all-white male party, we're going to basically be a losing party. We become more and more of a minority party, and we may very well lose the Senate, which are now in trouble in several of these Senate races, and we may lose some House seats. And it's just an inevitability that as the demographics change, you have to study the demographics of the country, and the demographics are changing dramatically, and you have to reach out to those groups. There's no reason we can't do much better in the Hispanic community than we're doing. And those are small business people. We basically need to go out and encourage them to our economic policies and what have you.
Right.
And we've got a real rebuilding process after this. So whether he wins or loses, and hopefully he wins, just for the long-term goal of the party, we need to basically be looking at the demographics.
Well, I'll tell you, Hillary Clinton is lucky to be running against Donald Trump. I mean, there's a separate report that shows that top donors to President Obama are not giving money to Hillary Clinton. The Financial Times reporting that 1/3 of the biggest 2012 donors have yet to support Clinton. What do you make of that, Ed Rollins? You're not seeing the big money guys and gals give to Hillary, and they gave to Obama.
There's still some separation there. I think a lot of the big money guys for the Obama people are basically going to get hit on for the libraries and all that sort of stuff. Again, the Clinton people have got all the money they need, and they'll continue to have all the money they need. So whether the Obama people go there or not, it's not as relevant as it is among the Republicans, where we need big money to go in the super PACs and elsewhere so we can start getting on television.
Why would they give to the campaign and not just the Clinton Global Initiative? Because it seems like you could get more favors done that way than giving to the campaign.
Because you're liable
That's my personal opinion.
You're liable to get indicted in the next 6 to 8 months.
But Ed, while the polls look dire now, if you're looking at this from an analytical perspective, we're still a little under 3 months from the election. And I think that there is still time for Trump to turn it around, I think, if he had a strong debate performance, because the expectations for him are so low, couldn't be lower for what he's going to do going to the debate. So I think he still has a chance to turn it around.
Well, I'm not saying, listen, I'm getting up every day trying to raise money and trying to push it forward. I'm just simply saying, when you look at polls, you have to analyze what are they? They're measurement of the time, and you have to analyze what do you have to do that's different. And I go back to the point, you give an economic speech, why wouldn't you drive that speech? Why wouldn't you fill in the details, drive that speech? It was a good speech, it was well received. The next day it should have been Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This should have been his dominate economic speech. We're now basically talking about other things.
But why isn't it, Ed? Who's advising him that it's not? Or is he just not listening to his advice?
I don't know how good or bad Paul Manafort is, and campaign strategists shouldn't all take the blame. A lot of times it's your candidate. In this case, I think he's a very strong candidate. Giuliani is out traveling with him for a couple of days this week, and that's important because he's a good, strong advocate. But where are the surrogates? I mean, there just aren't the surrogates that are out there that need to be out there. And I go back again. Where are the women surrogates?
Right.
They sort of dismissed the senator when she basically didn't endorse him yesterday and say, well, it doesn't matter, it's not the state. Every person that's a prominent Republican that moves away from him gives an excuse to others who want to move away.
Yeah.
This is a game of addition, and people forget he got 13 million votes in the primaries. Record numbers. He had 18 million voting against him. He needs to get every one of those 18 plus a lot more.
Wow.
Every single day, it's addition. How do you add? How do you add? How do you add?
And then he's